may turn out to be the most chaotic episode of this podcast ever. I look like I don't know what. Chapstick is the best I have right now. I'm in the clothes that I changed into after picking the kids up from school and running errands. But I am so determined to be on top of my recording schedule that I'm doing something I never do, which is, or I rarely do, or try not to do. Something I really try not to do, which is recording while the kids are around. But during this episode, which I just may end up deleting if it's too wild, during this episode, I won't be surprised if one or both of my kids come into the office. My dog's been trying to get in, but at least she lacks opposable thumbs, so she can't open the door. And my plants are having a bit of a fungus gnat. I wouldn't even say infestation. There's not a lot of them, but there's one or two flying around, and I had to just kill one before I pressed record. So if you see a tiny little bug, it's just if you're a plant lady, you know. Okay. And that's all I have to say. But I am determined to stay on top of my recording schedule. And I did not get to record anything last week, and so I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I've already talked about how I'm pressing record and I'm going because this is the life I live. And if I'm going to do this, it has to be done. There is also emotional support wine here. So there might be some emotional support sips throughout this process. But today's episode is an update on mom friends. So, episode 2 of this podcast is an episode in which I excitedly shared that I met some fellow moms in my new town. The town that I've now been living in since, so wait, oh my gosh, is it going on 4 years? Oh my goodness. So I guess going on 4 years. I have thoughts and updates to share about just building your social circle. Again, how it impacts dating, how it impacts life management, stress management, and parenting and single parenting and all that good stuff. So, that is to say, we are talking about making, not really just making mom friends, but fostering relationships with mom friends or friends in general. But again, because I am very much talking to single moms who are dating, then the idea of mom friends is a particularly uh, important topic. So, with that, if you have not already listened to episode 2 of this podcast, then go way back and listen to episode 2. I met a group of women who have children my oldest son's age, and they attend school together. And yeah, I met them and I am friends with them. And these relationships have evolved. And I want to share about my experience in fostering these relationships and meeting these women. So I mentioned in that episode, or really I talked about in that episode, the importance of just building a social network. So it is important to build a social network of different types of people, everyone from dating partners to professional contacts to friends to fostering family relationships and all of that. In particular, as a single mom, a single dating mom, having other mom friends can be particularly special. So I talk about the fact that when you make connections with other people, you then have, you can build emotional support for yourself and for someone else. You can work on fostering reciprocal relationships in which there's a give and take in various ways, in the emotional support, in childcare, in having someone to go out and do things with, in receiving advice and tips and resources about various things, right? In being able to make other connections through one another. All of these things are possible when you have good social relationships. And so I just wanted to kind of generally talk about, my experience in and really the benefits of fostering these mom friendships that I have. And some of these women you will hear on the podcast during my Mom Moments series. So that will also be pretty fun. So I just have my notes here, my handy dandy notes, so that I can reference them. about just some things that have come up recently in my own life around things that have been really good to have from these mom friends. There is a friend who's offered to, watch my older son during a period of time where I'm going to take a quick trip somewhere. Shh, it's a secret. Um, it won't be a secret forever, but it's a little bit of a secret. And they have offered to watch him, and that is hugely helpful. There is a friend who makes the drinks oftentimes for the get-togethers and the gatherings, and I'm currently cooking up a little Halloween party, birthday party for my oldest stepson, and she is going to make drinks. Um, there is another friend who recently had a sleepover for her son and took a number of our children and kept them. These are all things that have helped to make my life and my children's lives and my partner's life more rich, more full, and has allowed us to feel very supported and cared for. And then these are women who I know I can reach out to around pick up and drop off of my kids at school. These are friends who we go to one another's homes, and this one's like, hey, come use the pool, and this one's like, hey, use the yard, or like whatever. Like, I'm like, hey, bring kids over, they can hang out, we have a basement set up for the kids, like all of those sort of things. Through connections with other moms, I have, a friend who's, getting swim lessons, for her son, and through knowing another mom. And all of these things are the things that help you be and feel supported, and that help to provide a sense of security and safety in your life, in the life of your children. So really think about this in the context of being a single mom and dating, and how impactful and important it can be to have people like this in your life. I was able to help a friend in an emergency where I needed to, run, drive down to a summer camp, really quickly, to check in on, one of her kids who had gotten injured. She was on her way from work. I have a friend who we're exchanging, information. I'm giving like plant advice based on my amateur plant mom status, and she's getting into it. The point is, these are all like small and large ways in which I feel supported, help other moms feel supported, and we feed into the lives of our kids. And I have to say that for me, it's been a very awesome and enriching experience to have met these women and then continue to foster these relationships. And it also kind of extrapolates into a bigger community of other moms who, I connect with on maybe a less consistent basis, but also some of those moms will also be on the podcast during mom moments. I've been reaching out to my mom community. And setting up uh, plans to have conversations about various things that impact women, moms, women who are dating, entrepreneurs, all sorts of people, all sorts of women who are living various life experiences. So really, was just my like update on the fact that it's gone really well for me in terms of my building of relationships with other moms in my community. And it's been to a huge benefit for me, my kids, again, my life partner who I brought into my life after meeting some of these women, and just the connections that have formed there. And it's really helped me feel held. And I try to also do the same for these friends to help them feel held as well. And so this was just kind of a pop in. Like I said, listen to episode 2 as well to get background on the idea of forming social networks, but particularly of moms, other moms, because also, and this is something I believe I mentioned in that past episode, specifically around dating, right? If you have a community like this, again, women who you feel comfortable being able to reach out to about picking up and dropping off your child, babysitting, watching your kid, stuff like that. It really opens up the possibilities for you around dating and being able to go on a date and have someone who you can trust with your kids and who you can share your experiences with and get feedback from, and you can reciprocate, and it's a back and forth and a give and take, as any healthy relationship of any kind should be. It should be reciprocal. And so imagine what that does for your dating life if you have that type of community, right? And so I can't encourage it enough to be intentional about forming, even one or two solid mom friend relationships in your community. And some mom friends might be a bit more distant from you physically, but maybe you're able to have an emotional connection and be emotionally supported and supportive of that person. But also, you'd want ideally a couple of people who you can physically see with some consistency. So you have someone to hang out with, or you can do play dates with your kids, or you can babysit for them, they can babysit for you, all of these various things. With one of these friendships, it's evolved now into being able to have like to plan some couples dates, because when I met these friends, I was single, but now I have a life partner and they also are in a committed relationship. And, so they are able to join with us to do couples dates. So these friendships also, can evolve over time as your life changes and evolves. So you want to think about where you can meet people like this, which are moms with kids your child's age. Obviously, school is like the easiest the most obvious place, besides maybe like in your neighborhood on your street, if you happen to have neighbors who have kids who are the around the same age as your kids, right? But making sure you're going to school events, just to be able to show your face and say hello. You go to one school event, you see somebody one time, you go to a second school event, you say hi from before, and it builds from there. So I guess also the idea of going to some school events that maybe you are not necessarily particularly interested in, but knowing that you'll be able to show up there and see some of the same faces and have them see yours. And if your kids connect, or just so you can set up play dates to see how the kids connect and see how you connect with the other parent. It's similar to dating in that way, in which I'm suggesting you be intentional and deliberate about doing these things, right? Also, again, getting out in your neighborhood, if you notice that there are families with kids that around your child's age, and saying hello and introducing yourself. You never know what seeds you're planting when you introduce yourself to people and you make sure to say hi and you're open, because sometimes people need that permission to approach and to engage. And if you know that you are trying to form connections, then you can be that person who initiates that. But also outside of school events or like your neighborhood, um, you can look into meetups. So I'm always talking about the Meetup app and how you can look for meetups in your area that might cater specifically to moms, but also just might cater to other women who you can go and meet and find that they have kids, and um, maybe make some connections there. With Meetup, it may or may not be like you can look at in your area, but it may not be quite as local as like your child's school or obviously your neighborhood. But another good place are actually local Facebook groups. So going on Facebook and looking up specifically around your town, and moms in this area, stuff like that. There are a lot of those type of groups, and then you can get more specific. There might be moms of children with special needs, moms of infants, on and on and on and on, and engaging in those groups, joining them, looking at who's posting and what they're posting about, adding some posts of your own, attending any of the meetups that those groups host, because they will be local. And so you're more likely to meet some women and some moms who are near you, who you can physically see more often. And, your kids may be able to meet up as well. So these are just some ways to really get out there and intentionally try to meet other moms who could become good friends. You only need a couple. You only need a couple to feel well supported and held, and to be able to reciprocate that. So I strongly, strongly suggest that you make forming mom friendships part of your dating plan, quite frankly, because in various ways, those women can be a really supportive tribe for you, and you can show up as a support for them as well. So, this was just my little update on the meeting of my mom friends a couple years ago. Um, and how I'm very grateful for the friendships that I fostered and the relationships I fostered. Um, and and it's not to say that all of these interactions are easy to navigate. The dynamics between people ebb and flow for various reasons based on different things going on in their lives. But by all means, it's worth it. And I just really encourage you to be intentional about going out there and meeting some mom friends. All right, that's all.